The PL Show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil.
It's that time on a Sunday evening when we bring you great stories from women of substance around the world, particularly here in Ghana. Hello there, you're welcome to the Phenomenal Lady Show. My name is Keminni, and our show is brought to you by Roma Mosquito Spray and Coil in Tuntum Master. Feco Spray Starch, look sharp. I'm sure you are eager to know who our next guest is. Well, so am I. So wait on here, I'll be right back.
Should you rumor to me?
And Tonton Master, a baby, you are number. She's so madahati. Roma insecticide spray at that Roma. Entafre, entatia, make a cheha. No way. You make no. And Tonton Bako crown fanimo. And also a pussy. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. I'm out there with a show. Roma and coil.
Roma and Tonton Master.
Wow! My uniform looks different.
Feco Spray Starch, Majima Point. Actually, pause. When you want to run to the moon, I feel your spray starch, Papa. On particles be our water, no wrinkles, smooth iron.
Yes, Papa. Feco Spray Starch. Me here perfume.
Also, yes, guy. Feco Spray Starch.
Look sharp.
Look sharp. Look sharp.
Welcome back. This is the PL Show, and I am absolutely thrilled about my guest this week. You may know her as former Deputy Finance Minister, but believe me when I tell you there is a lot more to this woman than you can imagine. Let's take a look at her profile.
Mona Helen Quartey is a finance executive with more than 26 years experience in areas of finance, management, development, and operations in the precious metal industry. Her work experience has been with both local and international firms, mostly in the United States. Mona's love for numbers positioned her for a deputy ministerial position in finance and economic planning in charge of revenue and tax policies from 2014 to 2017.
While close to 52% of professional jobs are held by women like yourselves, we are substantially underrepresented in leadership roles. So how come we are doing all the professional work, but we are not the leaders? We are not the CEOs, always in support role. We actually know how to get the work done.
Now you have met who I'm going to be talking to, Mona Helen Quartey, and indeed she was Deputy Finance Minister in the Eswell government. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you today.
It's a pleasure to be here, and
Yes.
especially in this lovely garden.
So what have you been up to post your administration?
Public office.
Yes.
Well, I've been up to a number of things. Definitely went back to my mother duties because my children have grown, you know, some of them graduating from school, some of them going into professional school, and one of them actually started working, so they needed that support. So it was good to be able to go back to them. More importantly, I've been able to spend more time with some of my clients in my consulting business. And then I decided to do a little bit of upgrade with my education as well.
I see.
So I did a master's in law.
In law.
Yes.
In law. Congratulations.
It was a one-year program, and that's done.
I read that from your company's website. Congratulations. We'll get into your activities at your company. So you talked about your children, you talked about your clients, as you know, those are the things that occupy you post public office. But let's talk about your children first. Okay. You have 3 of them?
I have 3 of them. 2 older girls and then a young man, a 17-year-old.
And you say one of your children started working not too long ago.
Yes, the older one, who is a lawyer now, called to the Washington, D.C. bar Started to work sometime last year, so she's been working for a year now.
Wow.
And her specialty is in health law. So she actually works with a medical systems that owns hospitals all over the Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. She works in the General Counsel's office, and she absolutely loves Ghana so much that she's going to come and take the post-call bar here. And she's hoping that she can start to do international stuff in the health area.
You must be really proud of her.
Yes. A year ago, just before she graduated, she spent time in Geneva with the UN and WHO. She was working specifically on sickle cell screening for newborn babies. So she had a lot of interactions with doctors here in Ghana, and she has a paper that is coming out soon together with the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, DC, to get funding for screening newborn babies in Ghana. So we're really looking forward to that, because some of these things affect our human resource, right from childbirth. And we're hoping that we can bring this sickle cell issue under control.
And then you have your clients also taking up your time, your time now.
I do have my clients who I offer financial advice to, and I've been able to spend more time with them. And with the experience that I gained from public sector, I think it's enriched my conversation with them and the kind of advice that I'm able to give to them to try and do as well as they can.
You know, there are those business owners who say that, well, once you take public office, you are characterized as politically exposed, and it's difficult for you to regain momentum once you leave public office. Did that ever happen to you?
Indeed, that is true. It is very true. I mean, you become a politically exposed person, not only in terms of the financial world, but in terms of business. I mean, people view you that way, and they are not sure where your alliance is. But I think that what is important, and I'm using your platform to let people know, that it's about Ghana. I mean, unless we have the enabling environment for our investments to thrive, and that cuts across all parties, we'll all be wasting our time. So indeed, when I give advice to a business owner or to the private sector, I do that with the intention that they must do well. It is when they do well that the nation also does well, because that's when our GDP will grow. And that's why over the last few years, it's about public-private partnerships. And if we don't have the private sector ready to team up with public sector, then we have a problem. So encouraging private sector to be able to team up with public sector or just do well on their own has been great. If we take the example of, for example, MPS, Meridian Port Services, who teamed up with government to grow the Tema port to the extent that they would open up the port and even free up the traffic in and out of the port and add another lane to our motorway. We haven't done that to date as public sector, but together with private sector, that is going to happen. We're going to have more lanes. We are going to have better access to the motorway, and off the motorway, less traffic. So that has been another great public-private partnership. And I think more of those, without talking politics, will just help to open up this nation and make us all just rich.
Let's talk about your days in the mining industry. You worked with Ashanti Gold.
That's right.
Now Anglo Gold.
Yes.
And tell us about your experience there, really.
So, right out of school, I worked with EcoBank for a couple of months. EcoBank was partly owned by Ashanti Gold Fields. Ashanti Gold at the time was setting up their treasury department, and I was in the treasury at EcoBank. So it was sort of an internal thing, but it was a completely new hire into Ashanti. I spent almost a year in Obuasi. That was our main mine site. Of course, subsequently we bought some other mines, Idua Prim, and then we also bought mines outside of Ghana. So the mining world was an interesting world. I enjoyed it. It was more than just finance. It was about operations. It was about business models and making it all come together and ensuring that you were being environmentally friendly as well. It's introduced me a lot into corporate governance, which is very important for every large company. So I enjoyed that very much. I gained a lot of experience from there. I went back into banking though, on an international level, Citibank, I worked with Citibank for a while in Washington, D.C. Came back, and then at the board level, local board level, joined Golden Star Resources, which is also a gold mining company. Much smaller than Ashanti, but more challenging. They were very much into exploration, and then they started to do a lot of open pit mining here in Ghana, in Wassa, and then also in Prestia.
Do you find yourself meeting a lot of women in the mining industry since, you know, you started?
Yes, increasingly. When I started, there weren't a lot. There were just a few. But now we are seeing a lot of them. I mean, in Ashanti, Anglo-Ashanti, they have a number of women working there, not only in administration, but in all the other parts, in metallurgy, in the processing plants, in the underground, you're seeing that. With Golden Star Resources, we made a conscious effort to make sure that we brought women on board. So we got young ladies who went into the mining school through the University of Mines and then came to work with us. So we have a lot of lady mining engineers. We have drill masters who are ladies. We really have ladies across the board. We have a fantastic lady who is in our business processing, and she's helped to turn the business itself around a lot. And these are all young ladies, but we've also reached out to the community. One of the big things that we've done is what we call locums. And that is where we've gone out into the community, and business that we would have otherwise given to suppliers and vendors in Accra or abroad, we've empowered the local people to do that.
I see.
And they love it. So we now have local people who supply their services in terms of trucks, delivery. I mean, it cuts across. Today, all our uniforms on sites, on both sides, are tailored on, in
the
Wassa
community.
and in Prestia.
Right. So how did getting into the mining industry find you, or how did you find your love for the mining industry?
Well, right from school, or even whilst I was in school, I knew I didn't want to work for government.
Okay.
I knew that for a fact, that I didn't want to work for government.
That you would never be public office.
Yes. However, getting into the private sector was also tough because it's at the discretion of the person who owns the company. But I noticed through my research that Ashanti Goldfields Company, which was partly owned by government, 51% at the time, and 49% by Lonro in the UK, was a company that, although it had strong government connections, behaved like a private sector company. And I did some more research on it, and I applied for a job there. I didn't hear back from them up until I finished school and came back to Ghana. And so I joined EcoBank because I got offers from other companies, Shell and so forth. So I joined EcoBank, and it was whilst I was there that I guess somebody in Ashanti realized that, gosh, don't we have this lady's CV already? Aren't we supposed to have her here? So then they called and set up an interview and said, we got your CV when you sent it when you were in school. We are sorry we didn't get back. And I said, well, you snooze, you lose. I'm already at EcoBank. So that's it, because I was actually enjoying my training program there. So it wasn't immediate. It wasn't immediate. I enjoyed EcoBank for a while. I was going through my treasury training. Then I got a call from the CEO of Ashanti, who was Mr. Sam Jonah at the time. And he called me and he said, hey, this is a big company. How dare you not want to come? And I said, well, I'm happy where I am. I've met a whole lot of old Achimotans. I'm comfortable, and I have a pretty good salary. And he said, I don't think so. And then he scribbled something on a piece of paper and showed it to me, which was a salary. And I said, oh my God, people are earning this kind of money. So I said, well, I'm going to think about it.
Maybe you should think about it.
Came back to work, spoke to my immediate boss, Mr. Jean Aka, and then to Mr. Charles Asari, who was there at the time. And they said, but why would you go to Ashanti? I mean, we appreciate it's a bigger company. And I said, because of the money. And they said, oh gosh, we didn't expect that. Nobody would say that. Everybody will play around it.
Nice.
And I said, no, the money is bigger. I think I'm going to have a bigger challenge over there. And I can see a future, and I'm going to go.
And that's how you started.
So they were good about it. They were nice. There was a nice send-off party, and I joined Ashanti in Obuasi, and I don't regret it. I've had a great time. learning, riding up that curve has been fantastic. Yeah.
So when you entered Ashanti's field, was it so easy getting used to, you know, the mining, how things are in the mining industry?
So my first year was really settling in.
Okay.
It's just that, as Mr. Jonah put it, was baptism by fire because the company had just started their expansion program and there was too much to do to have someone almost like interning. So I had to just jump in, you know. So I started to go to Washington, D.C. to negotiate our financing, coming back, setting up the hedging program together with others, finding little weeks here and there to go and also see how others did theirs. So I'd visit the barracks and so forth, the big mining companies. I'd visit some of the banks even who were our hedge counterparties to see how these things worked. We had to come up to speed quickly.
So this was with your MBA?
This was with my MBA.
With your MBA?
Because you see, it's one thing having an MBA and it's one thing the practical stuff on the ground. Because this time, one move can cost the company or can make the company a lot of money.
Yes.
You know, so you are more careful and you need that experience, that hands-on experience. So I got that from Ashanti. I stayed for 10 years. It was a wonderful 10 years.
So I'm interested in when you told us that growing up, public office wasn't the thing for you.
It wasn't.
So when you got the call that, well, the president would like you to serve in the capacity of Deputy Finance Minister, what did you think of it? What did you say?
You know, I was actually sitting under the hairdryer at the hairdressers when that call came through. So I didn't take it because I didn't even know
who it was.
So when I got into my car and I checked, my goodness, I had this call. I called back and fortunately he picked up.
Right.
Because I would have felt bad if I couldn't get back to him. And then he said, where are you? I said, I'm so. He said, come to my office now. I said, really? He said, yes, come to my office now. So and so will be expecting you. So I went, I sat with him and he said, I need a private sector person in the Ministry of Finance.
Right.
And I said, really, what are you expecting that person to do? He said, we need to bridge that gap. I've had this conversation with you before because it's one of the things that I thought was important, that public sector really cannot do what Ghana expects it to do without combining with private sector. There has to be that marriage to make Ghana thrive.
Indeed.
So he had that conversation, he remembered it, and he said, I want you to be that person in the ministry. I said, well, okay, they are public servants. I'm not. They are not going to gel with me.
We'll come back and talk about your response to the president at the time. You're watching the PL show. My guest is Mona Helen Quartey, Deputy Finance Minister in the NDC administration, headed by John Dramani Mahama. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Should you rumor to me?
Tonton Master, a bay Nyamanni. Kiso Madahati. Roma insecticide spray at that Roma. Entafre, entatia, mekacheha. No way! Yumikuno, and Tonton Bako crown fanimo. And also a pussy. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito quell. And out there we a sham. Roma and quell!
Roma and Tonton Master.
Yena. Maketiano, why are you?
Oh! Tum preko. Eyesaso. Mwa. Saso.
Papa no, oh you saso. Yena yesaso.
Yes, Eyesaso. Madam, Eyesaso. What?
Saso.
Emo beyond that dao. Saso. Ekum tum. Ni mwa saso. Tum preko.
Welcome back to the PL show. You were just in time for the rest of our conversation with former Deputy Finance Minister Mona Quartey. We're filming here at the Labadi Beach Hotel. I'm costumed by Anna Simba by Zita. You find her on Facebook and on Instagram. Our show is brought to you proudly by Roma Mosquito Spray and Coil in Tuntum Master. It is smokeless coil. It kills and repels mosquitoes effectively and leaves your room fresh all night long. You deserve the best. Go for Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil anytime. Insist on Roma. We are also supported by Feco Spray Starch. Look sharp. Now, look sharp brings to mind the point of the conversation we've got to. So the president called you. He said, well, we need to bridge the gap between public sector and private sector, and I want you in the finance ministry. But you had told yourself, no, I don't want to do public service for a long time. So what did you tell him back?
So, well, we talked about it a little bit, and he said, you know, there's no arguing about this.
Right.
I need you to do this for your nation, you to give back, and we just need this part of, you know, our economy to be enhanced and improved. You know, because at the end of the day, it's all about generating revenue and being able to cover the programs that government wants to offer, whether it's social or investments, you know, whichever investments that government wants to do, there has to be the revenue for it. And if we don't have the enabling environment to bring in capital, as much as we are a rich natural resource country, and people you hear saying all the time, we have gold, we have cocoa, why aren't we rich? What are we going to do with just the gold or the cocoa? It has to translate. There must be value addition to it. In doing that, even with the oil and gas, you must apply capital. You must apply know-how. And that is not here. That has to come from somewhere.
So did he convince you immediately then?
He did convince me in that conversation, but it was more about an order. That, listen, this is what we need to do. So I realized that, look, there comes a time in your life when you've worked, you've made some good money, you've grown your family. My kids were not babies anymore. This is a good time to give back to Mother Ghana. So I decided that I'll do it.
Right.
You know, it's okay, and I should be able to do it. And I was being given a task that is easy for me.
Right.
Private sector is my area. Bridging the gap with public sector is about interpersonal skills.
Right.
It's about just making it happen and finding out what motivates people to make that happen.
Right.
So I could work on that.
What did your family think about your decision to want to serve in public office?
My husband wasn't too sure about this because, first of all, I was a dual citizen.
Right.
My husband is American.
Right.
So I was both American and Ghanaian. Now, our constitution states clearly that certain government positions cannot be held by people with dual citizenship.
Indeed.
So for my husband, it was troubling for him that I would have to give up my American citizenship when our children were Americans as well, and they would need my support.
Right.
But my mom, who is a real supporting Ghana person, I mean, she's a go-getter for Ghana, big time. She said, oh, come on. There is nothing more satisfying than serving your nation.
Right.
And you must do this. All the experience that you've gained, it must be used here. I doubt that anyone in the American government is going to call you to come and help them. We are developing. We need you. You must do this. So for my mom, it was a fait accompli. There was no argument about it. Even when I talked about the money, that the salary would be so much lower, she said, come on, let's not even talk about money.
Okay.
Let's just give to the nation, and you will be rewarded by God in other ways, you know, whether it's your children doing well or whatever.
What was your first day at the ministry like for you? First of all, you don't have great offices in public sector, but you're coming from a private sector where you may have enjoyed really good environment, really good people you worked with. These were people who were there before you came. So what was your first day like?
So there was the before the first day. I'd had to spend time with the minister during meetings and so forth, just to get a feel of how things were done. So I'd gone through that. But on my very first day, I must say that the civil servants who worked there were the nicest people. They came over, they welcomed me. And of course, Minister Seth and Deputy Minister Atto, they are complete gentlemen. Complete gentlemen.
Right.
They really treated me like a lady. They had a beautiful office ready for me. In the new block, I had a very big, nice office. In fact, they hand-picked staff who would support me, who were just brilliant. I didn't change one person. You know, you hear stories of ministers going into office.
Yes.
I don't like the secretary, I want this, I want my own, I'm bringing the person from home. I didn't change one person. everyone who was handpicked to work with me was perfect, and I had a great time working with them. All the directors who reported to me, they were wonderful people, and we were able to do great work. So I actually enjoyed the 2 years there better than I even expected, because I met people who were educated, were experienced, and could give practical advice. I mean, of course, I could also argue with them at times because I could hold my fort. So there were times when I would say, yeah, but we're not going to do it the way we always do it. We're going to change it. And they were happy to learn and come along, you know. So I must say I had a great experience. My first day was fabulous and every day was good, even when we had bad times. I mean, we did have times when we'd have a bailiff come in because somebody had served an order on the Ministry of Finance, the government of Ghana owed them, and they would come to try and seize our cars and so forth. But even in those bad times, we were able to maneuver.
What would you say were some of your biggest challenges at the ministry?
Some of my biggest challenges were to do with revenue generation.
Right.
So both tax and non-tax revenue generation. That was a big challenge. It was already a challenge before I came. I knew there would be issues because of the way things had gone in the past. You know, a lot of people in the MDAs, or let me say the departments and authorities, started to build kingdoms and almost felt that any revenue that came to them rather than to see it as to the whole. So they were looking at the individual parts, the fragmented parts, but you needed to look at the whole. So getting them to understand that, getting them to bring their revenues into the consolidated pot, which was a very important pot that we created at the central bank, to have that consolidated pot and to be able to use funds from there was very important. That was what we called the smart way of generating revenue and using it. So that you know what comes in, instead of having revenue come in on your blind side.
Right.
So that was good. We were able to have that. It was still a challenge because the systems were new to the people. And you were introducing new things to people who had done things a certain way for a long time.
For decades.
So they did have some difficulty. To date, they still have some difficulty, I'm sure. But we pushed that through, and they saw the results. And I think seeing the results, a bit like going on a diet, if you don't see the pounds dropping off, you get demotivated. They started to get motivated, and it's still work in progress.
I see. So as a ministry, we've not had a female minister, you know, finance minister before. Why do you think that is taking us such a long time to do this?
My answer is I don't know, because there is no doubt that women are the better purse keepers. There's no doubt about that. And I don't think that any president will argue otherwise. I think that it's going to happen soon. I think we should see it happen soon. It hasn't happened in the past.
Is that something you'd go for?
It's a job that I can do easily, so I'm not concerned about taking up a job like that at all. So that's not an issue. It's making sure that you have the support to be able to deliver. Because if you recall, Madame Ngozi in Nigeria, when she became finance minister the first time, had very little support from her own, and even more from outside, because you know there's always a strong lobby group out there who don't want to see change, who don't want to see efficiency, who don't want to see transparency and accountability. So she had a lot of pressure, and eventually she caved in and went back to the World Bank. She came back a second time, of course, knowing better, and she stayed the course right to the end. Of course, she faced other challenges, but she stayed to the end. In Ghana, we haven't had, not because we don't have women who can step into that role, but I think whoever comes into power initially always looks at their male counterparts to be their finance ministers. But with time, I think that will change.
We look forward to that future. I want us to double down. Let's talk about family, growing up. What was growing up like for you?
I grew up as the daughter of a university lecturer. So I spent a lot of time on campus. I was actually born in Peki in the Volta region. My father was lecturing in a college there at the time. and he and my mother were, of course, newlyweds. I was the first child. So I was born in Peki. My godparents were Mr. Ephraim Amu and his wife.
You mean the Ephraim Amu we know?
Exactly.
Oh,
the music genius. Those are my
him?
godparents. Yes, they were my godparents. So that's where life started for me, again on a campus type place. And then eventually my father came to work in the University of Ghana, lecturing there as well. So we lived on campus again. My mother worked. My father and my mother actually are both old Achimotans. I'm also an old Achimotan. So they were very comfortable with each other.
Right.
And my second...
Are they still alive?
They're still alive. They're both alive. I'm very lucky to have them still alive. The second child, my brother, was born in Nyamanni, where my father was teaching, before he came to Legon, where my last brother was born. So we basically grew up a sheltered life, I would say. We were not rich, but we were not poor at all. And we just grew up knowing you would go to school, you'd get a job, you'd work, you'd take care of your family.
So
it was
you
pretty much a
the
bubble.
country a lot because your father moved from place to to place.
We traveled quite a bit.
How did that tell on you as a growing child?
Well, it made me realize that Ghana is made up of a lot of other people. I realized the beauty in the diversity, and I had that in mind. And I think that's why it was easy for me to be able to come back to Ghana and work in Obuasi. I think that's why it's been easy for me to work in large companies with different people there and not feel different from them, but actually feel that once we have a common goal, we are together, we are one.
Now, I've been under the impression that a bit of you is Caucasian. Would that be right?
A very tiny little bit. My father's mother, her dad was French, but her mother was a Ga woman, a Miss Quartey Papa Fio.
Nice.
Yes. So we do have that tiny little bit, but it's so small.
So do you speak Ga?
I speak Ga completely.
Nice, because you grew up in Peki for a bit.
I grew up in Peki for a bit as a baby, a child, Sunyani, and then most of my time in Accra, in Lagos.
In Accra. Yes, What did you study? You did an MBA in Canada.
I did an MBA. I had done development planning at Tech under the Faculty of Architecture, the planning department. So that was a 4-year program. I went in 82. We went through some of our looters. We stayed at home for a year, went back and finished in 87. And then I worked for a year, national service, before I went out to do my master's in Canada. That was for 2 years. In those days, the MBA program was 2 years. I went in 89. Yeah, it was a 2-year program. And then came back to Ghana right away.
How much of a role did you play in the Aluta? Or you were one of those who didn't want any trouble? All you wanted was your studies?
No, I was out there. I was out there in many of the Alutas that were on campus. But more importantly, I was out there when we had the coup, the December coup, and then we had to help with taking cocoa out of the farms and so forth. So I was basically a worker.
Nice.
You know, I enjoyed being part of the team and working to get things done.
Nice. So how did you meet your husband?
My husband was also in Achimota school.
Right.
So I met him in school, but we didn't have a relationship, of course, until I was much older. Yeah, because I have been married before. I was married to another old Achimotan. Yeah, and had
you
my
like to keep it at home.
You see, somehow I guess it's easier. I had my 2 daughters. My late husband passed in 98, in December 98. And then in 2000, December, almost 3 years later, I got married to my
Was it
second
easy
husband.
moving on?
Yes, it was easy moving on. My children were very young, 5 and 1.5. And every elderly person around me said, you're too young to be alone and be a single mother. It doesn't make sense. Children like to have a mother and a father.
Absolutely.
You know, work on getting a family. And my current husband was such a wonderful, nice guy. And we've gotten along for 19 years now.
Since then?
Yes.
Well,
and
congratulations.
We had our son, of course. Thank you.
1 year more and it's a decade. 2 decades.
Yes,
2 decades.
Yes, and it will be 2 decades.
Congratulations.
Yes,
so you, from the very onset, you've been business-minded, you've been a woman on a career path, but you had children along the line. Now, how are you mixing that? You know, the family on one hand, the career on the other. At some point, you had your children in the US.
So
how did you mix that?
It's not so much a mix as it's a juggle. And I couldn't have done it without my mom and my mom's sister, my aunt, Auntie Nelly. My mom and my aunt just gave me full support. They were working too, but they made sure that they took time off to spend with my children when I wouldn't be at home. I had unusual working hours. At Ashanti, I would go to work by 6:37, and I wouldn't close till the US market would close, which is more like 9. But I did take long breaks at lunchtime, and I would have siesta. And that's when the children would come home and I'd spend time with them. So that even if I came home and they were already in bed, that was fine. So my children interacted with me. I guess the girls have picked my style of work and my style of being at home. And they seem to be exhibiting that now. They don't make a fuss about children and they just move on with their lives in terms of getting their career going. You know, so it's been good like that. I've had a lot of family support.
Well, let's talk about some recognitions that have come your way. One of which is the 100 Global Inspirational Women in Mining 2018. What did you think when you got the award?
When I got the award, I was happy. I've been in the industry for a long time, 30 plus. I mean, even if it's in and out. I picked up a lot of my treasury skills from the industry, which is my risk management skills from the industry. As one of the early days women in mining industry and so forth, I had always hoped, you know, silently had that ambition that I should get some recognition. But I didn't think that it would be for being an inspirational woman. I thought it would just be for some part of my work that I did, because most of the time I'll get awards for being a finance person or a treasury person. But to be an inspirational woman, picked as one of the top 100 and internationally, globally, was really a big one for me. I mean, I was totally floored and humbled by that.
And it must also mean something because it came post-political office.
Yes, it came post-political office and it came because of the work I had done in the mining industry. So I must say I was proud of myself and I was happy. I think it was long overdue. I thought that, but clearly those who would make that choice did make it, and I'm happy they made it now and not posthumous.
Yes. Which we tend to see a lot.
Indeed.
Yes.
So I'm glad that happened. That took place in London, and we had a good time there.
Right. Congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
Let's talk about women who would be looking up to you. It's nice, and you know, it's great when the stories are told, but there are real things that happen.
That's right.
Behind the scenes.
That's right.
What would you say to young women who would want to enter political office at some point? They would want to take
or
a
even
public
lead
service.
organizations
Absolutely.
in the private sector.
Absolutely.
Even do that.
What would you say to them based on the experience you have gathered over the years?
Well, definitely, as I said, women are just better managers of people and of the purse. I mean, I absolutely believe that. Women manage people so much better and manage the purse so much better. We will have the odd rotten egg here and there, but generally, women are so much better. Because I believe this so strongly, I actually am not a full supporter of affirmative action. Because I believe that we can hold our own, we can stand our ground. And if given the chance, and I know I use that carefully, given the chance, as if someone needs to give us the chance. But you know, in this life, being given the chance can be both from male and from female. Females can give you the chance, male can give you the chance. If you notice, women really form the majority of, whether it's voting or in churches or even in organizations, you have more women than men. If that caucus could give itself the chance to make sure that a woman led them, they would benefit from it. So for the young ladies, I would say, don't go the route of affirmative action. Go the route of merit. Go the route of being confident. studying, gaining experience, knowing that as you go forward to take this position, you can do it. Nobody is going to try and say, oh, I helped her, I made it happen for her, I was teaching her everything, or you feeling lost sometimes. But being confident in yourself. I mean, for example, you can't be a hostess on this show and somebody else is talking into your ears. You're going to have to do it on your own. You're going to have to think on your feet and be able to do it. And it's that confidence level that makes you successful. I don't think that coming into the position by affirmative action, oh, she's the only woman in the room, let her be the hostess, will cut it.
There are those who argue that we want you now to create the room for qualified women to catch up.
I think that's what it is. I think that argument is fair, rather than just saying a woman should go into the position only because we are trying to fill a quota. But rather, let us really try out these qualified women who are confident and who can lead. And they have shown that by their experience. I mean, it's there. They have the track record. Use them.
Right.
Don't leave them.
Right.
Use them.
Right. Someday when we mention Mona Helen Quartey, what should we remember Mona Helen Quartey for? What would you like to be remembered by?
I think that, to use one word, I would like to be remembered for happy. The Happy Index, which is a new index that everyone is really looking to now. And when you query what happy is, I mean, some people think it's a fleeting thing, it's whimsical. But when you are happy, you can actually overcome a lot. And I think that that index needs to go up. I want to be remembered as the person who was happy. Even in challenging times, I want to be remembered as the person who was happy to have been given a chance to live and a chance to do all sorts of things in that life. We should be appreciative. And I think once we appreciate the life that we have, and even the challenges that come our way to make us stronger, happy is what I want to be remembered as.
Well, I am happy to have met you today. We've got a present for you from our sponsors. We'll just have it here on set so that we give it to you. It's a special present from our sponsors. We give to all our guests who come around.
Lovely.
And we are happy.
Yes.
We are happy to present you with one because you made us happy.
Thank you, and I'm happy to receive it as well.
Yes. So there you go.
Oh, wonderful. So there's spray starch from Feco. There's Roma insecticide spray. There's Sasso mosquito coil. And I'm really grateful.
And the box is the special part.
Fantastic. I love the yellow box.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much for coming.
Thank you,
I am absolutely blessed by your presence today.
Thank you. It was a delight.
Absolutely. Right, so I take this and put down for you.
Thank you so much.
Our assistants here would help you with it when you're leaving us. But you watching at home, there's more to come here. Next is #trending with Ellie Caris.
Should you rumor to me?
And Tonton Master, a bay Nyamanni. She's so madahati. Roma insecticide spray at Roma. Entafre, entatia, mekesheha. No way! Shemikuno, and Tonton Bako crown fanimo. And also a pussy. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. And out there we sham. Roma,
Roma and Tonton Master.
Wow! My uniform looks different.
Feco spray starch, Majimo point. Rachi, pause. When you want to remember na munto do mo. Afi ni enya spray starch papa. Onja particles be water, no wrinkles, smooth iron.
Yeshan papa. Feco spray starch. Me here perfume.
Also, you guy.
Feco spray starch.
Look sharp.
Look sharp. Look sharp.
Yena. Maketiano, why are you?
Oh!
Tum tum preko.
Sasso, mwa. Sasso.
Papa no, oh you sasso. Nyamanni sasso.
Yes, Madam,
What? Sasso!
Emo beyond that dow. Sasso, ekum tuntum, ni mwawa sasso, kum tuntum breku.
Today, we talk to 22-year-old Stephanie O'Day Wilson, one of Ghana's leading entrepreneurs who's making a huge impact in the male-dominated industry. My name is Ele Karis, and this is #Trending. As I said earlier, my amazing guest is a superwoman, and I'm so proud of you. So at the age of 20 years, you built a 3-bedroom apartment and completed your first sale. When did you pick an interest in real estate and technology?
Well, I picked my interest in property development actually as a child, between the ages of 7 and 8, with my dad. And I remember when I see big buildings, I was an indoor baby, but very troublesome, you know. So when we went out sometime for grocery shopping, I saw these big buildings in a room somewhere in Kumasi. I was so excited. So I told him I would want to build such big houses for us to stay in. And he kept telling me they are for offices. So I one day said, I'll build such for you for your office because your office is small. So that was then. So I lost him actually. 48 hours before I lost my dad, he left me with some words which has stood up for me all this while to do this. Not for anyone, but for myself, and then for him to be happy wherever he is.
May his soul continue to rest in peace. You are in your 3rd semester at Blue Crest University.
Exactly.
What are you studying? Is it related to what you are?
No, I'm doing fashion.
But what is the link? Fashion and real estate?
Well, I launched my clothing line in 2015, later part in 2015, when a friend of ours in abroad, my auntie, wanted some stuff for Christmas. So we did that, and then when I went to the lady that created all the designs, I found myself doing most of the sewings. I was so much interested, so I said, well, let me do this too as part of it. I mean, I can't do just one thing or maybe be interested in just one thing. I have so much interest in many other stuff that I want to do. I have a lot of stuff I want to do apart from clothing, technology, and then real estate. I have a whole lot of stuff I want to do. So relating to real estate and technology, if I should say, I didn't necessarily have to be in a classroom or have a degree to start. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but then I did some short courses online, and I applied for UCT online course with the University of Cape Town, studying property development and investment. All right. So most of the stuff I learned online, being on site, studying and learning from most of my bosses and people I got close to, big contractors and architects. All right. So that was where I actually got myself trained practically on this field.
How many people do you currently have on your team, and share with us tips on hiring or growing a team of contractors or employees?
Okay, so when I built my interest in it as a little girl, I started this when I was 17, days in senior high school. I didn't know anybody really. I barely had an idea on even acquiring a land. So I said, okay. So my first project actually, I tapped into my mom's conversation. That was where I got my first client. And you know, I so wanted to do it. I wasn't scared. I'm so confident. I said, I wanted to do it. Mom, the person you spoke to, I spoke tree. they are spending her money in Kumasi. Oh, okay. Mom, I can do it. You know. You know. Oh, so just tell her I can do it. I know this man. He has 25 years experience in this. I know him. Let's do it. Said, Ajo, are you sure? Said, yes, I'm sure. Are you sure you want to do this? I said, I can do it. So she spoke to her my daughter knows these contractors, they are good. Oh, project in the choir, you know. So that was where I got my first client. I remember I wanted to do something for a company, and I knew the person that told me knew the boss actually, so I had to meet him. The moment he saw me, said, "Where is your boss?"
I am the boss.
I'm like, "I'm here myself, sir." I mean, that look on his face was so discouraging. I nearly cried, but I was like, "Yes, I'm the one. I can do this." Then he was like, "Okay, I'll talk to you later." And the call never came again. I went to his office to confront him. Yes.
What happened afterwards?
He became my friend.
Oh, you went for it.
Yes, he became my friend eventually. Because, well, struggling to gain the respect in male-dominated businesses is hard for most of us women, especially. I think what I suffered from was my age. My age, this little thing, because I had someone text, I got a screenshot, this little thing. Like, wow, that little thing. But I think they shouldn't look at that. The value and what we bring on board is what they should look at. Of course, I'm a little girl. I don't know so much of what I'm even doing, but I keep learning every day, and then I sleep late, really late, but I have to wake up early to meet your needs as well.
What advice do you have for people who want to succeed in this business?
Not just in this business, let me say. Whatever you want to do, wherever you see yourself, where your passion lies. To me, personally, this is the first thing I tell every single person that comes to me, that Stephanie, you're doing good, I want to be like you, I want to do what you're doing. The first thing, to me, my perspective, you have to trust in two people. That's God and the man in the mirror, myself. When these two persons are aligned, there is nothing that will be impossible for you.
Stephanie, this means so much to me, and I am going to start saving today to buy my land, and I'll come and see you. Maybe for some discount. Think about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Stephanie, and I wish you the best in all your subsequent projects.
Ali. Thank you.
You've heard it all from one of Africa's young female leaders rising across the continent. There's nothing more powerful than finding your voice and making it count, by the help of God. Thanks for watching today's edition of #Trending. My name is Ellie Karis.
What an inspiring story that is. But be sure we'll be back next Sunday with another exciting and educative episode of the Phenomenal Lady Show. The show is brought to you by Aroma Mosquito Spray and Coil in Tuntum Master. Feco Spray Starch, look sharp. I look great thanks to Anna Simba by Zita. They made my beautiful dress. And thank you to the Labadi Beach Hotel, where we film and bring you the PL show every weekend. My name is Keminni Amanor. We'll see you same time next week. Bye-bye.